Hello everyone and welcome back to the World Class Stamp. Today we're going to be talking about the best managers to ever grace the Premier League. We'll be talking about what makes a world class manager and also giving our top 5 and listing some notable candidates. Okay, so the premise is what actually qualifies a manager to be noted as world class and going into our top 5. So some of the things we'll consider is trophies won, how long have they managed for, where have they won domestic trophies elsewhere, and some of the factors that we consider what makes a manager world class. So for me, a world class manager, they have to have a range of attributes. First of all, they're going to have to be able to get results, right? So that's the first thing. How successful are they? Can they put together a winning team? Tactically, can they change games and can they introduce substitutions that turn the fortunes of the team at key moments in the game? How are they working with a budget? Can they use their budget to strengthen the team, or do they need a sack full of money to get results? There's definitely some managers over the years spend quite a lot in the Premier League. There's some other managers that had to be more frugal. Some other things is man management. So how do you motivate your team? How do you get the best from your players? And another one for me then is just your drawing power. So can you convince players to come join your club, or are you just someone who you need a big club to be able to draw players to you? So there's some of the things that I would consider as a world-class manager. Yeah. Steve, have you got any attributes that you consider for a world-class manager?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with some of your points you made there earlier. So to reiterate a few of those, maybe bring in some different ones. 100% a manager has got to win trophies. I think there have to be a variety of trophies, both domestic, European, and world, if they do win certain trophies, go into that category, and also in a variety of leagues as well. So granted, some managers haven't moved leagues, but I think if they have the ability to win in those different situations, circumstances, just different types of leagues and styles of play. Something else that is big for me is the ability for a manager to rebuild a team as well. So I don't mean just rebuilding in terms of third, fourth season by 2 or 3 more players to strengthen a particular position. I'm talking about over 10, 15 years, a player's career, have a player, they go through the club, finish their career at that club. Can they replace that player with another like for like? For example, a Frank Lampard at Chelsea. Can a manager bring in another player like him to slot in seamlessly and do the job as well as that player? Third thing for me then is in those big games, as you mentioned, can they make that substitution, that tactical switch? That's something different in a game that they're perhaps not playing very well in or losing, and actually have an impact from from the bench as a manager and change the fortunes of the team and how they play and the results of the game at the end. And I think a good point you made there, I just want to echo as well, is that reputation, isn't it? Can they pull in those players that many clubs are after? Can that manager be the difference in attracting that particular player to that particular club? So I guess that's track record and perhaps style of play that the player is attracted to. So they're the things that are important to me.
Yeah, you touched on some really good points there. The ability to rebuild a team after a period of time where it's gone stale, either from just players getting older or due to the fact that the hunger is gone because they've won so much and the squad needs a refresh. Some of the newer generation of managers, they don't stay at clubs long enough for that to become an issue. As soon as they start seeing the hunger go, or players aging out, they switch clubs and it's time to move on, and they leave that for the next manager to build. So yeah, that is a real hallmark of a top quality manager. What kind of seals the deal for you for getting that elite stamp for world class?
Well, the fundamental biggest bit to be a world class manager is to do your job, which is to win silverware. Any club you're managing, all about the silverware. You manage your way to attain that with the players you've got or the squad you build. So silverware is the actual measurement of a manager. And if you do that over different leagues, top 5 leagues in Europe, 6 leagues in Europe, or across the continent, different continents, or even as an international manager winning major trophies, constantly you will be deemed a world-class manager in my eyes. It's about winning silverware, number 1. 2 is about philosophy and how you approach the game. And philosophy means how you can get your players to adapt to your philosophy and style of play. So I think that's a massive bit of football. It's almost romanticised in some people's minds about how the game should be played, the beautiful game. And if you can stamp your own style on that to different clubs over different eras and be cemented in club's legacy or even football legacy, that's the level again at for world class manager in my eyes. There's obviously within that there's game changing decisions or pre-game decisions which could maybe rattle an opponent or you've outthought it before kickoff. And player development. Player development is a big one. If you can get youngsters through the youth system or coach them or completely change your players' style of play, which works, I think that is a world class trait of a manager. So it's quite a high bar, but the biggest factor is silverware at the end.
Man for a long time. So we're going to choose our top 5, not necessarily from that list, but they're the ones that we kind of called out as notable mentions after at least winning one Premier League title. So I'm going to go first then. My pick's probably going to be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to go for Jurgen Klopp for pick number 5. Like I just called out there, he's won one Premier League, he's won one Champions League, won one of each domestic trophy, he's won 2 Bundesligas as well, so he's done it on both the domestic level, but also that crucial Champions League trophy, and I've got him down as the 5th best manager to grace the Premier League. Matt, who is your number 5?
So my 5th pick would be Arsene Wenger, the professor. He revolutionised football, or at least Premier League football, when he came over from Japan. He built an amazing squad. 98. Obviously done the double, and he did change his side around to have a completely different squad. 2004, and actually done something that nobody thought could be done, and have an invincible season with no losses with Arsenal. Won 3 Premier League titles in arguably a harder era than has been, from the early days of the Premier League. Arguably maybe the more world-class players around back then. He's been given the chief of football development by FIFA. He's an absolute class act, world-class manager. Yeah, at the most respect of every player that's ever worked under him. Player development, probably second to none. Definitely. If he moved to other leagues, maybe he would have won some more domestic, maybe in Spain, France, Italy. Who knows? Never happened. But for me, walks into the top 5, number 5.
Yeah, he managed 2 clubs, Monaco and Nancy as well, right? In France.
Nagoya, Grampus
8.
Yeah, that's a Japanese club, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. To be honest, for me, it was a toss-up between Jurgen Klopp, and you make some great points there about Arsene. So Steve, who have you got as your number 5?
I've actually got Arsene Wenger as well in number 5. Just to add some of Matt's points there, and to elaborate a little bit, he seemed to bring in a new way of working, I think, a new style, a new philosophy to English football when he came in. I feel like he didn't start it, but I feel like he certainly drove the influx of foreign players, shall we say, into the Premier League when he came over to Arsenal. And Arsenal hold the record for the most FA Cup wins, and he, I believe, is the manager who's won the most FA Cups as well, to boot. So clearly loved the FA Cup, built many a team, rebuilt many a team over his period. Shame he didn't win more with Arsenal, certainly more domestic leagues. We were, or they were, should I say, very close on a couple of other occasions in winning the league. I think even the season that Leicester won it, Arsenal were finished in second that season. And another season I remember we kind of fluffed their lines towards the back end. So yeah, Arsene Wenger for me gets in at number 5. Didn't manage many clubs. England should have given this guy a go. And I'm sure he would have given a few Euros or World Cups, would have perhaps, especially in the glory days of those players and squads that England had, could have maybe even brought home that World Cup too. So number 5 as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think he ushered in a new era of professionalism as well, right? Because prior to his arrival, it was a culture of going out, having a few pints before the pre-match, nutrition, sports science. Yeah, definitely brought a new era of professionalism and preparation to the English game.
Yeah, he certainly had some players there who were hot to handle, such as Tony Adams, Paul Merson, Ray Parlour, Tuesday Club Boys, I think they were known as, and
I think you found that if you didn't change your ways, you were shipped out, right? So hence why Merson ended up playing Aston Villa and Portsmouth and things like that. And brought in top quality midfielders like Emmanuel Petit and Vieira. Real professional dedication to their craft. So yeah, Arsene Wenger is obviously a strong shout. Just to double down on my Jurgen Klopp one, obviously I think he also he's unlucky. He could have won a lot more Premier Leagues. He just so happens to be competing against Pep Guardiola. I think if Pep's not at Manchester City, he probably has a few more Premier League titles under his belt. Most points in a season without winning the league as well. Consistently hitting around the 90 points mark. Consistently getting to Champions League finals. Real Madrid seems to be his bogey team. Can't get over the line, but could have had a few extra Champions League trophies in the bag. Still, obviously, we're comparing two managers. One is probably in the prime of his career. Arsene Wenger, he's had his career and is now retired, so there's a longer period in order to judge him. So it is pretty close, but yeah, obviously we got kind of a split opinions on that. Okay, so moving on to number 4, I'm going to go for Jose Mourinho. Brought in the self-proclaimed special one from Porto. What an achievement that was, mind, winning the Champions League with a Portuguese side. I don't remember the last time that was done outside of, your England, Spain or Italy. Maybe with the Ajax team of the 90s. It's been a long time since someone broke that mould, and Mourinho come in, and his first season at Chelsea is probably the one that flies under the radar the most. Had probably the best defence ever in the Premier League side, I think. Most clean sheets as well, better check. 21 clean sheets, I think it was. Serial winner at all costs. Doesn't care how he wins, just that he wins. He'll park the bus. And yeah, he's gone other places like Inter Milan, won there, Roma won there. He said his best achievement though was finishing second with Manchester United. So yeah, I think he picked up the Europa League with them. So, serial winner and top quality manager, and he's my number 4 pick. Matt, who's your number 4?
My number 4 is Carlo Ancelotti. So, this guy has won the Premier League. People seem to forget that. Won the Premier League and the FA Cup. It's just what he does. He turns up. They put the Don Carlo cheat code on. He comes in, wins everything, leaves on the next club. And when he leaves on the next club, he does the exact same in that league, wherever it is. Top 5 leagues in Europe. He's won every single one. Won 4 Champions Leagues, 2 with AC, 2 with Real, and yeah, he's won 8 domestic cups all over the continent too, Europe. He should manage his nation. If you ask me, maybe he will one day. He's getting on in his managerial career, but what a career he's had! Fantastic, good game-changing tactics. We talked about that. He does that on a regular basis. That's how he turns up. Can manage a squad of players maybe he's not familiar with. Can see the in live games play, adjust, and get a win. So all these managers on this list, beyond world class, they're like goats. If you ask me, in these top 5, they're something else. But obviously, he's added so much silverware across so many different clubs. He's unbelievable. So definitely, it was hard to separate all these guys, but I put him in as number 4.
Okay, Steve, who's your number 4?
Yeah, Matt. I know we slightly look like each other, but we're picking the same top 5 there. I've also gone for Ancelotti. Purely, really, 100,000,000%, he's a world-class manager. But for me, just didn't spend enough years in the Premier League to get higher in that top 5. Maybe a bit harsh to say. I know this is best managers to grace the Premier League, so maybe I'm wrong on this one, that he shouldn't be a little bit higher. But is that right? He hasn't managed Italy. That is surprising. Definitely should be given a pop at that, shouldn't he? He's managed some top teams over the years. You got just go down a little bit of a list here. He was assistant Italy manager actually. I didn't realise that. 92 to 95, and then the list of clubs here is Juventus, AC Milan, Chelsea, PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Napoli. Everton then was a bit of a surprise one, wasn't it? I think when he took that job, and I think a lot of people felt he was going to push them on. Didn't work out though. And now at Real Madrid. But yeah, number 4 as well for me. Top manager, won it all, can do it in any league by the looks of things. Would like to see a longer stint at a club. Maybe we won't see that with the age he is now. Maybe we will. But yeah, that's me, number 4.
Okay, well, continuing the Carlo Ancelotti love fest, I'm going to put him at my number 3 pick. Again, not much really I can expand on what you've already said, but 58% win ratio, 4 Champions League trophies, and I think he's the first manager to win all 5 top domestic. So he's won in France, England, Spain, Germany, and Italy. So first manager to ever win all 5 league titles. Obviously wins Champions Leagues, and he's one of those, probably one of the most tactically astute managers to ever grace the Premier League. He seems to be one of those managers as well that bonds really well with his players. He has sometimes reputation of getting the best out of who he has available. He probably still has nightmares about Istanbul being 3-0 up. He really should have 5 Champions League wins on his CV, so that's probably haunting him, but he's got his revenge 2 years later for AC Milan. But top manager, and he makes number 3 on my list, pipping out Klopp and Mourinho. Matt, who is your number 3?
Yes, we've got a reversal here. He's not quite the special one. He's the special 3 on my list. But what a fantastic manager. This guy, talking about philosophy and changing a club, changing a mindset. He's got a mindset of, it's my club against the world, and whatever club that is. But he's got under his management at that time, go on to win things. He won 3 Premier Leagues, 1 La Liga, 2 domestic Portuguese titles, UEFA Cup, 2 Champions Leagues, like you said, FA Cups and Copa del Rey's. Wins everywhere he goes, brings them a winning mentality. Maybe, like you said, especially alongside Ancelotti, tactically astute, probably the best, or one of the best ever tactically astute managers. Jose Mourinho brings the drama, brings the silverware. Anyone would want him as a club manager. Even now, he's gone to Roma. He can walk into any job in the world, or any ones he hasn't done. So the world class manager, 3rd on my list, ever to grace the Premier League.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah, for my number 3, special one, also gets into that slot for me as well. You've said quite a bit about him already, Matthew. Some of the clubs he's managed: Porto, Chelsea, Inter Milan, Madrid, back to Chelsea. Wasn't as good as his first spell at Chelsea. Man United, bit of an odd spell there, wasn't it? I think, although he did still win silverware. Spurs, and then he's currently at Roma. FIFA World Club Coach of the Year. What more can you say about the guy? Just knew how to dig a result out, park that bus, build a solid team of. I feel most clubs he's been at, he's had a decent amount of budget to build a side, a winning side as well, which he's managed to do. So great manager. Yeah, number 3 for me.
Okay.
One of his most best standout performances for me, and standout seasons, was with Inter when they won the Champions League. They were nowhere near to win that tournament, and he played in the final Samuel Eto'o as a right winger, and he got the best out of him and probably had the man of the match performance, and won the final. Tactical masterclass to win that for Inter through the whole group stages. Obviously tough knockout phase they had, and then the final. So I don't think anyone else would have done it. That side, apart from Mourinho. So turn him around, and they haven't been that successful since he left.
Another stat here, which is quite interesting, is first coach to spend more than $1 billion on transfers, which may have been pipped at one of his previous clubs actually this season. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I think maybe the only one stopping that kind of issue is the fact that Chelsea changed managers like 3 times, right? They had Tuchel, Lampard, and now their new manager, Pochettino. Okay, so moving into the top 2. Another surprise, probably rile a few people up, but I've gone for Sir Alex Ferguson as my number 2. 13 Premier League titles, 58% win ratio, 2,155 games managed, and 2 Champions League trophies. I think it's also worth noting the fact that he beats Real Madrid in the final with Aberdeen in the European Cup Winners' Cup. So, although he's remembered primarily for his managerial stint at Manchester United, he did have an outstanding record for Aberdeen as well. He's probably the best manager of all time. Gets the best out of any player that he has. Instills the confidence into these players. Sets up environments. Absolutely ruthless decision maker. Not afraid to get rid of top quality players. See the likes of Stam, Beckham, amongst others, Roy Keane. Once they surplus the requirements or they're making trouble in the dressing room, he gets them out. No one's bigger than the club. and someone that Manchester United are forever in the shadow of Alex Ferguson. I think they won't fully move on from him until his time comes up on this earthly plane. But yeah, I think Sir Alex Ferguson, knighted for a reason, absolute legend of the game. But for me, I think there's just one manager better than him. Matt, who is your number 2?
So my number 2 is also Sir Alex Ferguson. I put him in there. Number 2. What more can you say about him than what you've just said? Trophy-wise, 13 Premier Leagues, 5 FA Cups, 2 Champions Leagues, 3 Scottish First Division, like you said with Aberdeen. His famous quote was saying, "The first one is always the most important." So his first league he ever won with Aberdeen, and the first European success he had, made him know that it was doable. So he took that to Man United. First trophy, first Premier League was there with them. Said this was the most important, and that's such a true saying. As long as you get the confidence and you know you can win, there's no stopping you. So that's what he done. Turned that into season after season, year after year. In the glory days of Man United, glory Man United. It definitely was an absolute age with that guy at the helm. He had the winning mentality, put it into the players. That was his philosophy. The hairdryer treatment obviously works because he rattled people's ears when he needed to, and he went out and performed. So there's nothing else you can say if you're a football fan. It's almost a silly conversation to have. How great was Alex Ferguson? Yeah, he's there's a hair's width between the top 2, and for me, yeah, he's second in the all-time greats. So that's my number 2 position.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep there. Number 2, I've also gone for Alex Ferguson. You both have said plenty about him. Just to add maybe a little bit more, they named Fergie Time. He's got his own little section of 90 minutes named after him. The added time, although I'm not sure the 10, 12 plus minutes they get these days would be known as Fergie Time, perhaps. But
they probably get a whole another game, right?
Yeah,
another 90 minutes added on.
I'm sure he slipped the refs a few notes from time to time to get some minutes added to the clock. How many goals did Man United score at that point of a game? Crucial goals as well. The obvious one is the Champions League final in 1999. And just before this episode, doing a little bit of reading around, I didn't know this, but he was offered the job at Tottenham Hotspur before he went to United. He was also offered the job at Arsenal as well. But he opted to take over from Ron Atkinson, and the rest is history, as they say. The Premier League's most successful manager, and probably will be for generation. Can't see someone. Maybe the number 1 spot may get there if he stays in the league that long. But what a record this guy has. So Fergie at number 2.
Okay, and my number 1 pick then. So Kenny Dalglish? No, I'm joking. My number 1 pick is Pep Guardiola. I think probably we've all got the same guy, right? I'd be surprised if someone's got someone different, but. Yeah, 5 Premier League titles from 6 seasons. Absolutely unreal. Touched on earlier, the win ratio, 72%. Absolute monstrous. Outstrips everyone. No one's in the 70s. 62. Mourinho is his kind of closest challenger. Yeah, tactical genius. He's the type of guy who he has that similar ruthless streak to Alex Ferguson. One of the first things he'd done when he came into Manchester City was get rid of the goalkeeper Joe Hart because he just didn't fit his style of play. A lot of question marks at the time because he was top quality performer for Manchester City, helping them win leagues, but identified him as a weak link and got rid of him. Not afraid to get the checkbook out, 50 million on full-backs. He's got a keen eye for a player as well, bringing in players like Gabriel Jesus from Brazil. Also that Alvaro Alvarez as well, the Argentinian striker. Just gets the absolute tippity top form out of everybody, and players, he's got that star power as well. Players want to come and play for Pep Guardiola as well. He's been so successful whilst up against some of the best managers of all time, whilst he was at Barcelona, heading off against other contenders like Jose Mourinho. His time in the Premier League, he's been up against Jurgen Klopp. I would say before last season, you could probably make the argument that Pep was maybe playing second fiddle to Alex Ferguson. But after winning that treble, I think that cemented him as the greatest manager to ever grace the Premier League. There's more I could say about him, but I don't want to steal all the talking points. So, as I'm assuming, Matt, you got the same guy in. What's your number one pick?
Yeah, I've gone for Pep Guardiola. Obviously, 72%, as you mentioned, winning ratio is absolutely mind-boggling over that amount of games, that amount of leagues, that amount of wins. You know, 3 La Ligas, 3 Bundesligas, 5 Premier Leagues, 3 Champions Leagues, 2 Copa del Reys, 2 FA Cups, Super Cups, FIFA World Club Cups, individual awards, World Cups on top of that. There's too many to mention. And how many more is he going to win? That's that's the question.
I think
You
the
know,
answer is as
he
many
can
as
go
he
on a
wants.
exactly. He can win a treble every season for the next 10 years. You know, you wouldn't put it past the guy. He's an absolute tactician. Brings the best out of his youth players or any player he comes across. Everyone wants to play for him. Like you said, not scared of making a big decision. He's had one recently with Cancelo. Looked absolutely on fire for them for a season and a half. They've had one quarrel maybe in the dressing room and off he goes. And he's just replaced with another starlet that he molds into the system. So yeah, you can never make another Pep Guardiola. He's brought a football philosophy into the game, a style of play which everyone tries to emulate, but he's always one step ahead. He's changed the game for the good. He's just phenomenal. I think he has played against Alex Ferguson in the Champions League final, or 2 Champions League finals, beat them on both occasions, and the Barcelona squad, which was absolutely unreal as well that year. I think when they won 2-0, Ferguson said it was the best side he'd ever played against. You know, and obviously you had Guardiola at the helm then in his maybe younger days, but look what he's gone on to achieve since, and yeah, he's number one for me.
Yeah, no surprises here. I've got the graveyard shift on this episode, following on from me too, with some of the same picks. But for me, Pep and Fergie, very, very similar in the star quality they seem to bring. You both mentioned that they're not shy on shipping out players who are, you know, not fitting in with what needs to happen at the club. You know, look back at Fergie and ship David Beckham on. Cantona left. You know, top players in the team, yet still manage to keep that winning formula. And Pep's done it as well at Man City and continues to do it, as you've alluded to as well already, with the likes of Sane moving on. He looked and is a player, but they can cope without him. Cancelo as well looks to be went out on loan again in a similar fashion, not complying to the Pep way, shall we say. And one thing that I think separates him from Alex Ferguson slightly is he's got this unreal ability of managing to get players to hit form at different parts of the season and almost designs the team around that player slightly for that period of time. Think of Gundogan, the back end of seasons for City. I think of Grealish last season as well. Kevin De Bruyne usually is in form most of the season, but just seems to find those players that hit form at different parts and play and have key moments in winning games and getting results for the team. And the guy's only 52. I mean, we said, how many can he win? I'm not sure he's going to win a treble every season like Matt says, but he can certainly, at 52, another 15 years in the game if he wants, easily. And he's actually been at City now for quite a while, since 2016. So who knows? He could be there for a decade, 12 years, 15 years. He could surpass Fergie's record. And I think if he is around those sort of numbers, he's not going to be far away. Got an eye for play, as you say, and is rebuilding a team, seems to be happy to ship players on. Squad depth isn't quite there as it has been in previous years, but he's still getting the results. There's one slight question mark, and probably only the dot on the question mark is on the pad, but can the depth of the squad that he has now still do what he's done in the past? So that'll be interesting to see, but I'm sure he'll be fine. So number one, best manager to grace the Premier League ever. We're all in agreement, so clearly we know our stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and just you did mention it, Matt, the fact that Alex Ferguson and Pep Guardiola went head to head twice, and he came out victorious on both occasions. You know, you think about it, he's got 3 Champions Leagues on his CV. If Alex Ferguson would have been able to outsmart Pep, you know, it could have been 4 Champions Leagues to 1, and that would definitely cement Alex Ferguson above him. But yeah, interesting picks there, guys. Maybe, you know, some people will see a bit of a shock some of our picks, but that's our opinions. Let us know your opinions in the comment section below. Have we missed any managers out? Who is your top 5? If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like, and if you want to be notified for new videos, consider subscribing to the channel and you'll be notified when we drop a new video. But that's it for this time, guys. Have a world class weekend and we'll catch you next time.